Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer, and today I have a surprise for you. Well, it's no longer a surprise since you read it on the title, but yes, Kirk Wilcox is going to be on the show today. Many of you already know who Kirk is, but if you don't know, he is a YouTuber. He has a YouTube channel where he publishes a lot of very interesting videos, and he also happens to be an Ayn Rand fan. And what's cool about it is that you can definitely see the influence of Ayn Rand's ideas and philosophy in his videos. So I'm very excited to talk to him and learn a little bit more about his process and his approach to content production, his channel, and of course, his interest in objectivism. And at the end of the interview, we're going to be playing a short session of Do You Even Rand? We're going to have 3 questions to find out if Kirk really knows Ayn Rand or her philosophy. Oh, but before we go talk to him, I just wanted to remind you about my fundraising campaign to produce an animated adaptation of a scene from Atlas Shrugged. It's a very important project to me, and there's a lot of people who have contributed so far. If you want to help make it happen, the campaign link is listed below. And now, without further ado, let's go talk to Kirk. We're here with Kirk Wilcox of the Kirk Wilcox channel. Thank you for being here, Kirk.
Thanks for having me, millennial Rand fan. It's fun to be here. I've been watching your stuff for a while now. And yeah, I'm Kirk Wilcox. I have my own YouTube channel. It's mostly satire, political satire, cultural satire. And I guess you could say it's from a perspective from a student of objectivism, which I have been since 2013. A lot of my videos are me reacting to other videos on YouTube that have to do with politics and culture, sometimes philosophy. Other times it's me reacting and making fun of certain dumb trends in the culture, dumb ideas that are going around the culture. I've made parodies of other YouTubers, and I've also made what I would call humorous documentaries. So yeah, check it out. And yeah, it's my channel, and I've been doing it since about 2017.
Yeah, that's what I noticed when I was watching your videos, that a lot of them, even though you don't say, hey, this is an objectivist video, like I can see the objectivist influence in all of your videos, like from the perspectives and how you do your reviews, which I think is very interesting. And you mentioned you started 2017?
But doing political and cultural satire videos in around 2017, yes. And I did that. I've been interested in comedy ever since I was a teenager. I've been making satire websites since I was 17 years old, which was back in like 2003. I've always wanted to, do stuff comedic wise. I love making people laugh. I've been doing stand-up comedy for over a decade now. And I started doing political and cultural satire on YouTube because Rucka Ali, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's another objectivist. He was really pushing me to get on YouTube. And on top of that, around that time, around like 2015, 2016, 2017, it was kind of like the peak of the whole anti-SJW craze, or maybe it was just getting past the peak. But I noticed there was a growing demand for comedy and satire that dunks on what I would call left-wing thoughts, for lack of better terms, like political correctness and socialism and environmentalism and Bernie Sanders and Obama. But also at the time, I'd already been studying objectivism and economics for a few years. So I thought I could bring a very unique perspective, because a lot of the dunking on the left was coming from nationalistic knuckleheads, conservatives, and they have a lot of baggage they bring with them as well. So
right. Yeah, well, when I watch your videos, you're very well spoken. So I'm wondering, like, what's your background? Like, what did you study?
are you talking about like objectivism wise, or just in general? Because I did go to school, I did go to college for broadcasting, and I was on the radio while I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to have terrible diction and enunciation, which I had to work on. But yeah, I started getting into objectivism actually shortly after I moved to California. After a night of having beers and talking foreign policy in the Middle East with my cousin, who I was living with, who's also an objectivist. He goes by Benito Bicycle on Twitter. I think some objectivists are aware of him. the morning after, he sent me some lectures from Huron Brook, which I had already had an interest in politics and history. And I just found the lectures really interesting. And after that, I looked up other stuff that Huron Brook was doing. And this was 2013. So all there was like him doing lectures about capitalism. And then eventually I bought his book, Free Market Revolution, which is actually signed by him. And then slowly after that, I started exploring capitalism, the unknown ideal, virtue of selfishness, return of the primitive. And the more I read, the more I got interested in it. And also,
wait, so you started with the nonfiction introduced by like objectivist intellectuals, and then you work your way through the nonfiction. Oh, so then did you read the novels later?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I think in a way, because I was interested in politics and history, and I was also an atheist for most of my life, I was already kind of ripened for it. I just needed a good introduction.
Oh, cool. That's a kind of like an uncommon way to get into it, but it's interesting.
Yeah, so I found the more I meet with objectivists, they're like, oh, well, I read The Fountainhead in high school. And then it was, they just got interested after that. Whereas I'm not a big fiction reader. It's kind of like, I've said this before, but it's kind of like playing an RPG, role-playing game. Like on PlayStation, like a lot of like you get into it and then like something happens in your life and you put it down for 2 weeks and then you forget about like where you're at in the game, how the game is played, who all the characters are. So I've always struggled with like large fiction books like Atlas Shrugged.
Got it. I mean, that one for me, it was very intriguing and engaging. So I read it like without too much distractions, but it does happen to me with some books that I'm like, put it down and like, I forget about it. But I did not know you were prepared for all this.
I can stop playing with the soundboard if you want me to.
What was that? What you just played?
Yeah, I have a soundboard that I use in my videos now. I've only been using it for a couple of weeks now, but I have a bunch of like sound drops.
And you know exactly where each one is located.
Yeah, you just get used to it on the keyboard.
Okay. All right. So since we already started talking about Ayn Rand, I wanted to ask you, like, what's one of the most impactful things about Rand's philosophy and how has it affected you?
I mean, it's affected me in a lot of ways. Without it, I don't know if I'd be doing political satire in general, because I would not have this perspective to talk about political and cultural issues like I do on YouTube now. But even aside from that, it's gotten me, the philosophy has gotten me thinking more clearly, thinking in principles. What else? It's gotten me it has had me taking concepts more seriously. I try to use words more carefully because I understand that words have meaning. And even like some of my videos talk about just, a certain concept and why it's an anti-concept or why it's a dumb concept. And then I unpack it all. But even aside from that, I think it's made me, I know a lot of objectivists can get, including myself, can get pessimistic at times when you look at like the political landscape and all the stuff wrong with the world. But in some ways, it's made me more positive, more happy. It's made me less cynical in ways I was before. It's made me appreciate a lot of the little things in life that I think a lot of people take for granted. Like, you drive around Los Angeles and, a lot of people make a big fuss, and I think rightfully so, about all of the, the garbage you see on the streets and, the tents on the sidewalks. But, sometimes when you look up, you'll see some nice, beautiful skyscrapers. And sometimes you just got to, take a minute and appreciate it. They live in the 21st century America, and you get to see all of these marvels of the mind. And even like recently, I bought this new 75-inch flat screen TV. And I remember being a kid back in the 90s, like my friends who lived across the street growing up, I remember they got I think a 55-inch TV, and I think it cost them a few $1,000s if I'm recalling correctly. But I remember it was a big deal. Like it took 6 guys to move it inside the house, and his parents were all like really proud and excited for it. And I remember thinking, man, I hope I'm rich enough to where I can afford a big screen TV. And now it's, I have a bigger TV than they did in the 90s. It has a clearer picture, and it cost me only a few $100. It wasn't multiple thousands of dollars. And, just little things like that, you got to appreciate and just think, you know what? There's a lot wrong in the world, but in a lot of ways, life is better than ever.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
Those things are still surprising me. I'm like, wait, what? Where's it coming from? All right, so I do see the influence of objectivism in all your videos, but can you speak to that? Like, how have her views influenced your approach to content production?
I would say the biggest thing that's really like I've mentioned a few times that I've always been interested in politics and history. One thing that really changed the way I think about things, and it's kind of an underpinning theme in a lot of my videos, is the ominous parallels. I don't know if you've read the ominous parallels, but it was written by Leonard Peikoff, and he explains how politics and history are ultimately driven by philosophy, the prevalent ideas within a culture, and that, ideas, especially bad ideas, do have consequences. They do have political ramifications if they, play out and if they're influential enough in the culture. And a video I did a few years ago was called Why Socialism Won't Go Away, where I rely heavily on that book and other things I've learned from Leonard Peikoff. I also use a lot of the stuff I learned in the ARI campus lecture series on the history of philosophy, talking about like Plato and Aristotle and whatnot. And yeah, I tried to explain, like, whenever I talk about political satire, I try to tie it to the horrible ideas that ultimately manifest themselves politically. So anyone that's interested in politics or history, if you've not read Ominous Parallels yet, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I haven't read it. I think I had it at some point, but I lost it. But here I wanted to say something. A lot of people who are watching this probably already know your channel, but for those who don't know your channel, what would you say would be like a good video for them to go watch as like an introduction?
That's a tough one. Why Socialism Won't Go Away. It's the one that's actually pinned to my Twitter account, and it's been pinned there since I think late 2017, 2018. I think late 2018, if I recall correctly. Another video I did that I'm really proud of recently was called Game Stunk, How Redditors Enriched Wall Street. Because I don't know if you know, like earlier this year, there was like this huge short squeeze attempt by Redditors. And when you notice all the commentary around it, it was heavily anti-bank, anti-hedge fund, a lot of nihilism. And there was this notion that all these, small day traders on Reddit were really destroying the elites. They were really sticking it to the hedge funds. And when you take a look back and look at all the facts, it's like, no, a lot of these day traders lost a lot of money that they could not afford to lose. And a lot of hedge funds and big players on Wall Street actually ended up making a lot of money. And that's that was a video I was really proud of. And I want to make more videos like that. The problem is they take a lot of time and effort. That one took me over 30 hours to make, if I recall correctly.
Oh, wow.
And just took a lot of, focus and archiving information, screenshotting, and I had a lot of fun making that. And so I would recommend checking that one out as well. But for a lot of my stuff is rebuttals. And I think one of my better rebuttal videos, there are two of them. One of them is recently, it was me doing a rebuttal to this channel called Knowing Better, where he talks about Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged. And he basically gets everything wrong. And that one got a few thousand views. Another one was I did a rebuttal to this channel called Spooky Scary Socialist. And that one also got a lot of views. And I thought it's one of my favorite ones to rewatch because I just think I'm really funny in it.
Yeah. Well, I think I have to watch your video, the Stunks one, because I remember seeing a lot of that on Reddit, Twitter, but I was just like, I don't understand what this is about. So I'll go watch it to see if I can finally understand what was happening.
Well, I was a little worried because the GameStop stock went up last week by a lot. I'm like, uh-oh, now I'm going to get a lot of comments saying, well, this didn't age well, but then the stock went down again. So I think long-term it'll come crashing down, but it seems to be pretty hot amongst the what people are calling meme day traders. But you know what? If you guys want to spend hundreds of dollars on a stock in a company that pays 40 cents every 3 months, knock yourself out, I guess.
Right. So you were talking about, you make videos about politics and review those, but like, how do you choose which topics to discuss?
A lot of times that can be difficult. It's a lot of times it's just a topic I'm really interested in. The main focus for me is It's got to be funny. How can I make this funny? How can I have fun with it? Because if I'm not having fun, then why do it? Or if I'm not going to get some fulfillment out of it at the end of the day. Also, I like to try to talk about stuff that is relevant that I think can, in the short term and the long term, maybe get me a lot of views that people, a topic that a lot of people are interested in. One balance that I struggle with, and I think this might be just me overthinking things, but I have a few thousand subscribers at the moment, and it's been growing a lot over the last few months. As I sometimes struggle to balance between pleasing the audience and the subscribers that I have while also appealing to people who've never heard of me before, because it's hard to do that without, being repetitive. Like if I make a video, it's like, okay, I want the people who watch me now to really enjoy this. But what if someone's watching this for the first time? I feel like I gotta make myself clear. And a lot of the times that requires me to be repetitive at times, which may be boring to a lot of the people who watch me regularly.
Yeah, I have a similar problem because obviously like all my videos are like Ayn Rand focus, and I'm like, at some point people are gonna be like, all right, calm down with Ayn Rand, can you talk about something else? But so far, I mean, I've only been doing this channel for less than a year. I'm coming close to a year, so I guess worry about that eventually. Oh, by the way, when you were talking about like how you choose your videos, and this is something that I might want to do a video on, but I wanted to suggest it for you. Have you seen those videos trending that are titled, I do not dream of labor?
I did not dream of labor?
I do not dream of labor. Like there is this new trend from Gen Z kids that they're making videos about how they do not dream of labor, like how they do not dream of like having a dream job and whatnot. But basically, because they're anti-capitalist, I think that would be something that you should look into.
I'm going to make a note of that. I've never heard of this before. I'm going to make a note of it right
now. They're trending. I do not dream of labor. They're crazy.
That might be something worth addressing.
Yeah. I think I'm going to make a video about that, but
do it.
It's coming.
Go get them.
All right. So you've been on YouTube for a while. Have you ever gotten major backlash with any of your videos?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't happen often. And I think every YouTuber goes through this, like, oh, what if I get a bunch of thumbs down and a bunch of angry comments? And that's something I've thought about a lot over the years, but usually when it happens, and it's not often, it's really not a big deal. And sometimes it can be really funny. A few months ago, so last year in 2020, there was this new YouTube channel that launched called the Grovel Institute. And it's this left-wing channel that was made specifically to compete with Prager University, which is another YouTube channel. It's a conservative YouTube channel. And they put out their first video. And it just so happened that as soon as that video came out, one, it was a really easy video for me to rebuttal to. And I think it was either the day it released or the day after. I had nothing to do. So I just did a rebuttal and threw it up. And what I didn't realize was that a lot of people in that left-wing audience were going to be seeking out the Grovel Institute because it's this new YouTube channel. And so when people were searching for Grovel Institute, my video rebuttal to the first video was one of the first results to come up, and it was appearing in the sidebar of that video. So I got a lot of crazy left-wingers downvoting the video and leaving angry comments. And you quickly realize that a lot of times it's either really stupid or really horrible people. And a lot of it was, bringing it back to Prager University, who I'm also not a fan of. I know a lot of objectivists have been playing grab ass with Prager University as of late. Not me, PragerU, you watch out. Yeah. I'm coming for you. But a lot of people were saying, oh, well, Prager University sucks. And I got this, so I made a playlist of all of the PragerU rebuttals I've ever made. And it's multiple of them. And I said, yeah, I concur. PragerU does suck. If you want some good PragerU rebuttals, here you go. And even like some objectivists that regularly watch me were getting in the foxhole with me in the comments, taking on all of these idiots. So yeah, sometimes it can be really fun and there have been other times I've gotten backlash. I remember my the first video I made about Tucker Carlson. I called him Tucker Carl Marxson. Mm-hmm. I said he's a total collector, and it's just a montage of him saying ridiculous stuff. And I saw people posting it on Twitter saying, "Oh, these dumb libertarians are going at Tucker Carlson." Even though I'm not a libertarian, I think, as you would know. But yeah, no, but yeah, I've gotten backlash before, and usually drives traffic my way, and it can be very humorous.
Yeah. By the way, I did watch that video you mentioned, your rebuttal to that. What's it called? That institute or that new channel?
Grovel Institute.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you guys, if you've not watched it, if you well, by now I've done a few videos to that channel, but the first one, you'll notice the overwhelming thumbs down, and the comments are just, they're a real hoot.
No, I mean, I watched it and I thought it was pretty good. So props.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, now let's change the subject just a little bit. And you kind of touched on that. I want to talk about the objectivist movement.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Something that I sense, and I don't know if you sensed it before, but do you think there's pushback from the objectivist community against non-objectivist intellectual making objectivist content that discusses objectivism or Ayn Rand's work and life?
I've seen a lot of criticism of videos that have to deal with objectivism, but not for the sake of being non-intellectual. At least I've never gotten that response. And yeah, a lot of channels are worthy of being called out, including myself. I've had objectivists in my audience correct me, criticize me, voice their disagreement with me. And there have been times where I've, thought about it and thought, yeah, I did make a mistake, or I was wrong. In fact, yesterday I did a podcast interview with this guy named, the podcast is called Walker Sessions, and it's going up in 2 weeks. And I remember as soon as I got done, I was just thinking to myself, oh man, there were a couple points that I could have done a lot better on. I was thinking, if the objectivists hear this, they're going to let me hear it. But yeah, I've never seen it for the sake of being a non-intellectual though. And I know some, a few years ago, I got this book, Peter Schwartz's In Defense of Selfishness. And I used this as going back to PragerU. I was using this in a rebuttal to a PragerU video about how self-esteem is fake. And then like a few weeks later, I guess Peter Schwartz somehow found out about it, and he actually thought it was a good video. So I've actually gotten props from actual objectivist intellectuals, not to brag, but as far as content goes, no, I've never seen it for the sake of being a non-intellectual. And for those who have a problem with it, I say,
blow it out your ass.
Well, sometimes I got that feeling from people, obviously, because, I'm not like friends with a lot of objectivist intellectuals, but I moved around that circle for a while. And
because you used to be at ARI, didn't you?
Yes. So I got the sense that, like,
what was that like, by the way? If you don't mind me asking, I got this an interview of me, but I've always been curious, like what it's like working there.
Well, it was fine. It's like the environment is very office environment. The only thing different is that we produce intellectual content, but
yeah,
it's very like 9 to 5 normal type of thing. Although, yeah, there's like a sense of like protect objectivism. We shouldn't associate ourselves with people who are non-intellectual, which sometimes I think it can backfire a little bit, because if you want young people to be more into objectivism, because they're gonna be the ones voting for either socialist policies or more freedom in the future, like if you want to reach them, they should be able to see more young faces that they can identify with. So I think it's good that like non-intellectuals make objectivist content.
Oh yeah, and I actually do myself. I don't embrace the intellectual label at all. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm a comedian and I'm a satirist. And yeah, I can kind of understand that perspective from someone like an Ayn Rand Institute. But yeah, I think, I think a lot of objectivists, they want more objectivism discussion in the culture. And sometimes it will be up to, non-intellectuals to get it out there. And will it always be perfect or good? No. But yeah, if you ever see any errors or mistakes, call it out when you see it, I guess.
Yeah, because whenever I do, like, I search on YouTube, like Ayn Rand objectivism, there's very few non-intellectuals talking about it. And most of the content is coming from institutions.
Yeah,
which can be very dry and kind of nerdy. Like, of course, it's gonna be more factual than another regular person talking about it, but it's not the most engaging most of the time. And I think that, we should find a way to.
Well, like I said, when I got into it, like there was nothing back in like 2013, between 2013 and 2018, really. There was like, even the Ayn Rand Institute didn't really put out regular stuff like they're doing now. And now there's like all kinds of channels, like Don Watkins has his own channel. Yaron Brook has been on for a while now. Rucka's putting out regular content. So yeah, there's you, there's me, there's other objectivists, non-intellectual objectivists putting out regular stuff on YouTube, talking smack on Twitter. Recently, Yaron Brook and Brad Thompson were talking about the Objectivist meme army, which we got going for a couple days, which was a lot of fun.
All right, so let's talk about something else, also Ayn Rand related, but not from your videos. Like in real life, have you ever had someone react very negatively when they found out you liked Ayn Rand?
Outside of social media, not really. And usually when it happens, I can't remember the last time it happened, actually. But I think from my experience, the conversation just moves on quick. Like, oh, Ayn Rand, she's like, right-wing nonsense. And I'm like, oh, like, what specific issue do you have with her philosophy? And then they just don't know what to say, and they quickly change the subject, from my experience.
Yeah. Okay.
I've also gotten positive experiences. People are like, oh, wow, yeah, she's really interesting. Like, I don't know if I agree with everything, but yeah, she has a lot of interesting perspective.
Yeah, that's a good technique to ask them, like, what exactly do you disagree with? Because then they're like,
Yeah, I think the last time it happened, I was like at a bar for trivia night, and a friend of a friend, I forgot how it came up, but then I confronted him on it. He's like, oh, well, I do like one thing about her. She created the villains for BioShock, the video game. That's like, oh yeah, her heroes are villains in a video game. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah. Again, are there any specifics of the philosophy that you can address? And they never have any answers, from my experience.
And have you ever attended an Objectivist conference?
Only once. It was when OCON was in Newport Beach. It was the Jordan Peterson year.
Oh, did you go to that one?
Yes.
I was there working.
I was only there for that one day. And the thing is, I know a lot has been said about that whole ordeal, but the stuff I remember most from that day is arriving early, meeting other objectivists and having fun. And even after the event, I think it was over at like 8 or 9. A lot of people were just kind of mingling and hanging out outside and at bars and whatnot. And I think the talent show was that night too, because I remember there being a talent show, and yeah, just having fun and meeting people, shooting the stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on your show. I don't know if you have a family friendly show.
No, you're allowed to swear.
Yeah, I was about to say shoot the shits. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's what I remember most about that day. I really don't remember much about the whole Jordan Peterson event, aside from the fact like they talked about the tree stump at one point.
Oh my God, no, I disapprove of that whole thing.
Like I said, a lot's been said about it.
Yeah, I worked there, but I was just like, especially because at the end of the day, once it came to it, it was like, they didn't talk about anything. Like most of it was just rambling about concepts, and yeah, it's like, okay, this is a waste of time and probably money. I didn't like it.
Well, and here's the thing is, and it's something I've learned from experience too, is that like when you have like quote unquote debates, it kind of, you would think that the people who have more people on their side, like in that discussion, it was Yaron Brook and Greg Salmieri versus Jordan Peterson. That's actually to Jordan Peterson's advantage, because he gets more time to talk and really clarify his positions, where it seemed like Yaron and Greg were kind of like trying to not step on each other's toes. And I think Dave Rubin asked Yaron like an epistemological question. He's like, well, I'm the economics guy. You should ask that to Greg. And yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Dave Rubin, he has changed a lot, and
he blocked me on Twitter a few weeks ago.
Really?
I used to be one of his patrons too.
No, I remember at the beginning when he was just like, started the Dave Rubin show, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this guy's really smart. But now lately, he's just the things he tweets and the things he's
Ah.
reporting is like very disappointing.
I've done a few videos on him as well about how he used to be pretty secular. He was proud of the fact that when he started his new show, he had Sam Harris, the renowned atheist. That was like his first guest, and he was really proud of that fact. And now he's like all going in on religion and kind of turning away from atheism, which, that's his business, but he's being really vocal about it. And I just noticed that he started to get significantly worse when he started, talking about how you can't organize society around anything else than God and religion. It's like, okay, it's really disappointing, by the way. I don't really take, because I used to, like I said, I used to be one of his patrons. I used to watch his show regularly. And then I think it was, just the whole intellectual dark web. And I think he just kind of went all in on, Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, for better or worse.
Yeah. All right. So I do have a few more questions left. But before that, I wanted to ask you if you're down to play after we do those questions. A round of Do You Even Rant?
Oh, no.
Do you even round 3 questions to see how much, if you really know the novels, Ayn Rand, and the philosophy?
I feel like I might be exposed on that, but yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we'll leave that to the end before we get to those that game. What else do you do besides YouTube? What are you in your spare time?
Well, before the lockdown, well, even during the lockdown, I do side jobs, obviously day job work stuff that I don't really want to talk about. But other than that, play video games. I like to haven't went hiking in a while. I used to really like doing that, but I try to stay well read for this, partly for my own sake, because I'm just curious, but also because it's just like, oh, if I read more and if I, acquire more knowledge, that might be used in a future video and whatnot. I write a lot. Even a lot of times I'll just write thoughts and then think, oh, can I make something out of this? Can this turn into like a video or some other kind of project? Could it turn into a stand-up bit? Haven't done stand-up in over a year because of the lockdowns. LA is still not opening back up.
Oh, you did stand-up?
Yeah.
And how does that go?
Great. It's a lot of fun.
What things do you talk about in your shows?
That's more observational. I don't really talk much about like politics or philosophy in stand-up. Although in a way, I would say the philosophy has kind of had an influence in the way I think about things, but it's not like I go on stage and talk like, oh, Ayn Rand would say this about and make a joke about it. No, it's more general observations. I think with political comedy, it's a lot harder to do if you're not already established like a Bill Maher or a Stephen Colbert kind of guy. Because if you like go up in front of an audience, chances are like 20% of them are like hardcore liberal, 20% are hardcore conservative, and the rest are on the fence. And then you risk kind of alienating the audience if you go one way or the other on an issue.
Yeah. Also, this is something you mentioned earlier, and I might not include this in the video, but you mentioned that Roca was the one who like encouraged you to be on YouTube. You guys knew each other before?
Yeah. I kind of have a funny history with him because we were both doing stand-up in Michigan. We're both from Michigan, and I knew him from that, but I wasn't into objectivism at the time. But then I moved to California, and then he moved to California. And then I ran into him at a Huron Brook event, and then we started really hanging out after that.
Oh, cool. Okay. Do you and Rand? The questions are going to be 3 questions. The last one's going to be filling the blank, but the other ones are going to be multiple option. One's going to be about the novels, one's going to be about Ayn Rand's life, and one's going to be about the philosophy.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
And okay, for everyone watching, the first question is going to contain Atlas Shrugged spoilers. So you might want to skip 1 minute if you haven't read the book. All right. In Atlas Shrugged, who is the guy who tortures John Galt with Project X? A, Dr. Robert Sadler. B, Dr. Floyd Ferris. C, Mr. Thompson.
Oh, man.
And no Googling.
I was about to say, well, can I look up my iBooks copy?
No.
Okay. So no Apple. I'm going to, I don't recall. I'm going to guess Floyd Ferris.
Okay. Yes, it's him. All right, next. And I think I picked like another complicated one, but you might know it.
Speaking of which, I remember I was doing a show in it was a bar I used to do every Monday, and I remember it was kind of dead that night, and I was waiting to go up, and some guy walked in with a hoodie with a Howard Rourke quote on it, and which you never see. And I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I can pick on this guy. I can go up and like kind of start and say, wow, some guy has a Howard Rourke sweater on. I know we're in good company, because anyone that's read The Fountainhead knows that it opens with Howard Rourke laughing. So this is going to be an easy night, folks.
And did you?
But then he left before I got on stage. I was so annoyed.
God, missed opportunity. All right, second question. Are you drinking a beer right now?
Diet Mountain Dew, come on.
Okay. Okay. Ayn Rand wrote a screenplay that was never produced. What was it about? A romance set in Russia. B, a charismatic Catholic priest that questions everything he's ever believed. C, the atomic bomb.
Ooh, I feel like it's A or C, and I'm going to feel like a total idiot if it's B. I'm going to guess A.
It was C, the atomic bomb.
Oh, you absolutely suck!
Yes. Okay. I feel like this next one you're gonna get, the last one about the philosophy, filling the blank. So as you know, there's a thing called the Ayn Rand lexicon, where there are a bunch of definitions labeled by word, and they have quotes by Ayn Rand, and sometimes it's
a source I use a lot.
Me too. And you know, there's basically like there will be a word like, I don't know, altruism, and then a quote by multiple quotes by Ayn Rand related to the subject. So we're gonna try to see if you can guess what this word from the lexicon is based on the quote with missing words. Okay, what was Ayn Rand talking about in this quote? I saw that blank was impotent, that blank was the irrational, the blind, the anti-real, and that the only weapon of his triumph was the willingness of the good to serve it.
Evil.
Yes.
Well done.
2 out of 3. Not bad.
I knew that one right away, but I was like 90% sure. I didn't want to cut you off.
When it comes to the rating, 2 out of 3 means you're a very knowledgeable Rand fan. So
hell yeah.
Props. Anyways, we've run out of time, but this was really fun, and I want to thank you for chatting with me today. When is this gonna go up? I'm not sure, but I'll definitely let you know as soon as it does. And is there anything else you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, check me out on YouTube, Kirk Wilcox. If you're on Twitter, and I don't blame you if you're not on Twitter, but I'm at Kirk Wilcox, just my name. I also do Twitch live streams, which is Kirkomania. So check me out there. Follow me on Twitch. And yeah, shout out to the Sense of Life Discord server. I think you have fans over there. Yeah, so.
Nice. Well, yeah, I also recommend everybody to go check out Kirk's videos because they're pretty good. And yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
There was something that happened at that plant where I worked for 20 years. It was when the old man died and his heirs took over. There were 3 of them, 2 sons and a daughter, and they brought a new plan to run the factory. They let us vote on it too, and everybody, almost everybody, voted for it.